Okay, so today I'm finally reviewing the first 3 graphic novels of the Avatar series. So doing a detailed summary for each of these graphic novels ended up taking so unbelievably long, and then including all of the panels for each of the books so you can see what I'm talking about is unbelievably time-consuming. So I decided to break this up. Instead of making this video the first 3 graphic novels, it's now the first 2. I've already read graphic novel 3, obviously, and when I read graphic novel 4, I will have the next video up. I'm going to break these up into sets of 2 because, oh my goodness, it's so much to talk about. If you don't know, after Avatar: The Last Airbender show finished, the writers continued the story in graphic novel format. There are 6 that follow our main crew in between the Avatar series and when Korra starts. There's also 1 standalone graphic novel that just follows Katara. Then we have 3 comics and the Kyoshi novels, which are still coming out. I'm gonna read them all. I have intentions of consuming every ounce of Avatar content that I possibly can. So far, I've read the first 3 graphic novels, and we have a lot to discuss. So these beasts are expensive. Each one costs anywhere from $35 to $45 a piece. I know a lot of my subscribers have already read through all of them. I also know that I've gotten a lot of comments from subscribers saying, I'm never gonna be able to read these due to the cost of them. So please, when you do reviews, summarize them. Give me the full story so I can still know what's happening, even though I'm not gonna be able to read them. So that's what I plan on doing with these reviews. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the first 3, then I'm going to discuss the next 4, then we're going to talk about the comics, then we're going to talk about the Kyoshi novels. We have so much to talk about. I'm going to start off with a spoiler-free summary and my very brief thoughts on them, just in case you haven't caught my thoughts in any of my other videos, and then we're going to go into spoiler-filled, in-depth summary discussions. So the first graphic novel, The Promise, follows Team Avatar immediately after Fire Lord Ozai was overthrown. Zuko turns to Aang and says, "If I ever go dark, if I ever start to turn into my father, I want you to kill me." He makes him make this promise. Then we jump forward a year in the future where there's a lot of upheaval after the war. Zuko continues to have a lot of inner turmoil. He's not all better now. The Zuko we got in seasons 2 and 3 that goes back and forth and that really struggles to figure out who he is and who he's supposed to be, this doesn't end with the show, and I love that. There's also, in each of these graphic novels, there are 2 plot lines that we're following. That's the main plot line for The Promise. The secondary plot line is Toph has started a metal bending school for other earthbenders because she's the person who invented metal bending, and Sokka shows up to help her out for a while. That's a spoiler-free description of The Promise. The Search follows Team Avatar as they go on a journey to find Zuko's mom. That's really all I need to say about that one, actually, because that's pretty much all that's happening. I did say that each of them have 2 specific plots, storylines that we're following, and the second one is we're actually getting a ton of backstory and flashbacks of Ursa, which I loved. So we get to see how she became married to the Fire King, and a lot. We get a lot from Ursa. I gave The Promise 4 stars. I gave The Search 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed all of them, recommend all of them. If it's at all possible, if your library has them, if there's any way for you to gain access to these books, you should read them. They're fantastic. Now we're gonna get into the spoiler section. I'm gonna give you more full summaries in case you aren't ever going to read these and just want to know what this content is, because it's great content. And if you've read them and you just want to discuss, we're going to discuss. The Promise. So immediately after Fire Lord Ozai's defeat, Zuko asks Aang to make a promise to him that he will kill him if Zuko ever turns dark like his dad. He now has to be the Fire Lord, and he's very conflicted about it. He still doesn't know his place. He still doesn't feel completely stable, and he's really worried that he's gonna go back just like so much of his family has. Aang obviously doesn't want to kill his friend. He's a peacemaker. He is not one for conflict, but he agrees. Fast forward a year, we have conflict in the colonies. During Fire Lord Ozai's rule, the Fire Nation took over certain cities of the Earth Nation. So there are Fire Nation colonies within the Earth Kingdom, and it's not good. The Earth Nation is feeling oppressed, and now that they have a new ruler, they want Fire Nation out. They want their kingdom back. So Aang and Zuko come up with the Harmony Restoration Act, which is supposed to bring harmony amongst the nations by taking the Fire Nation colonies out of the Earth Kingdom spaces that they have taken over. The problem is that there's a lot of resistance, and not just from Fire Nation. Someone comes to Zuko and tries to fight him, but eventually they end up having a conversation instead of a fight. Zuko's introduced to a family where you have a firebender and an earthbender that have been married, have children together, and live in harmony already. And that's not an isolated incident. There's a lot of families that have come together, and if Zuko removes every firebender from this Earth Kingdom, then he's ripping apart families and places where harmony has already started. Now Zuko's even more conflicted. Is the Harmony Restoration Act actually the right choice? Am I doing right by my people, or am I harming my people? So then Zuko just goes back on the Harmony Restoration Act, announces that it's not actually gonna happen. Fire Nation colonies get to stay where they are, the end. And he doesn't discuss it with Aang, and he doesn't handle it so well. And because of that, the Earth Nation that were excited about this change are now furious and are ready to break down the walls of the Fire Kingdom, and it's not good stuff. Basically, here comes another war. So Aang's upset with Zuko for going back on his word and not even telling him. The Earth Nation colonies are upset because Zuko went back on his word. And the Earth King is also really upset, and he's ready to start a war as well to get he's on his people's side. Zuko's on his people's side, the Earth King is on his people's side. Also, amongst all this turmoil, because Zuko is really struggling and paranoid that people are trying to come in and kill him, because they are, Zuko enlists the Kyoshi warriors to guard him, to be part of his guard. So Suki and Ty Lee are back, and they are Zuko's personal guard. It's amazing because I love Suki so much, and Ty Lee is also a phenomenal character, and Ty Lee is a part of the Kyoshi warriors now, so we get to see her as a warrior, which is fantastic. We get a lot of really good moments between them, and I loved that part of the story. There's also this side story happening with Toph all along the way. She has opened up a school for metal benders, earthbenders that want to learn metal bending. She invented metal bending, and so she is trying to teach people how to do it. And it's not going great. If you remember how she initially tried to train Aang earthbending and it didn't go so well, this is worse. Sokka ends up staying at Toph's school with her and trying to help her because Toph's school is in danger of being terminated, essentially. Specifically, actually, because of Zuko's actions after Zuko went back on the Harmony Restoration Act. So Toph's school is in danger of being closed, and she's not thrilled about it. So they're gonna have a face-off, Toph's students against the Fire Guys' students. But Toph's students still don't know how to metal bend, so it's probably not gonna go so well. So she has a crunch time to teach these students how to metal bend, and Sokka, the idea guy, is here to try to help it happen. Anyway, eventually everything comes to a head. We're about ready for an all-out war. Everybody's ready to fight and is fighting. And then Aang goes into the Avatar state goes into the spirit world to speak to Avatar Roku, and he's spoken with him throughout this entire graphic novel, but it ends up that he doesn't like the counsel that Roku has been giving him. He doesn't feel that it's good counsel, so he breaks his connection with the fire side of his avatar cycle. And through a lot of time listening to different people throughout this graphic novel, Aang comes to the conclusion that the Harmony Restoration Act is not the best move, and that without him realizing it, people were already harmonizing and were already working together. It all ends with the conclusion that Zuko and the Earth King are going to meet, discuss, and come up with a different solution that helps both sides and not just one or the other. We don't really find out what the solution is yet, but that's the story. My personal opinions on this one is that I enjoyed it a lot. I gave it 4 stars. I really liked seeing the conflict after the war, that after the war was over, everybody wasn't all better. The world didn't turn into sunshine and rainbows. There's still conflict. There's still consequences to Fire Lord Ozai's rule, and their first solution to restore peace and harmony in this world isn't perfect and needs to be fixed and needs to be changed. I really liked seeing the conflict. I liked seeing people that were benefiting from Fire Lord Ozai's rule and that wanted to keep things how they were, as well as people that were hurting and needed change. I liked seeing people trying to forcefully get change, as well as people trying to find it peacefully and through discussions and through agreement and compromise. I also just loved seeing that Zuko was still struggling. I loved that he didn't flip a switch and now he's all better. That was one of my favorite things about the show, about the series, is that Zuko had constant back and forth, and it was a true redemption arc and not a snap redemption arc. And I love that even now that he is fully good, he's still struggling. He's still struggling with his identity, with his family dynamics, with the fact that he's locked his family up and he hates that, even though he knows it's necessary, and conflict while he's trying to do the right thing and then realizing that it's actually not the right thing by the Fire Nation, it's only doing right by the Earth Nation, and then realizing that it's not even entirely doing right by them. Having to go back on his word, having to figure out the right thing to do, still dealing with so much turmoil. I loved that about this book. Some things did feel really off though, and I think it's just because it's the first one, and so it just took a minute for things to click. Some of the jokes felt forced, some of the characters didn't feel like they were exactly right. At one point, Aang just goes into the Avatar state because he's mad at Zuko and he's ready to kill him. And Aang made this promise to kill Zuko if he goes dark. He made this promise so reluctantly, and the Aang that I know would not just jump straight to, haven't seen you in a while, you seem to have reneged on some promises, death. Then Katara gets him out of the state by talking him down and explaining to him what the Avatar state is. And I know that she explains it for the reader's sake, but also her explaining to Aang about his Avatar state was it doesn't fit. Little things like that seem to happen a lot, where it just felt a little bit jagged and not like everything was smooth or the characters fit their roles exactly right. That kind of grated on me, but it wasn't the end of the world, and I do feel like in the next graphic novel, everyone felt exactly right. Now let's talk about the search. Oh, I love the search so much. This is the one where they seek out Zuko's mom. Zuko's mom, Ursa, disappeared in the original series. She disappeared in the middle of the night, told Zuko, everything I've done for you, and then she left, and we never found out what happened. Well, in the search, we find out. Zuko is still in conflict for how he's treating his family. He absolutely hates that he has 2 of his family members locked up, and he's trying to talk with them and he's trying to figure out the right way to treat them. He ends up letting Azula and Ozai talk privately, and in this time, Ozai trusts Azula with some information to be able to take down Fire Lord Zuko. Because Ty Lee chi-blocked Azula, Azula is not able to move at the time during this meeting, but then once the meeting is over, Azula is now able to break free, and she does. She goes to the place that her father told her to go. She gets the letters that her father told her to get. She now has a letter from Ursa that will destroy Zuko's life. She won't let Zuko have the letter, but Zuko is already going to search for his mom, and Azula is going to go with him. And they strike up a bargain. She's gonna go, but she's gonna go with dignity, not tied up, and with her freedom. Team Avatar doesn't like this agreement because, you know, Azula's bad. But Zuko insists he really wants to believe in his sister. He wants a good relationship with his sister so badly. So they go. Azula has quite a few hiccups along the way, and Team Avatar is furious that she's still allowed to, you know, be free, but we're still doing it. They meet up with a giant spirit wolf thingy. That doesn't go so well. They still travel. And they finally get to where they're going. They ask about Ursa, can't find her, and then are eventually told to go into the forest to forget things. I can't remember. My niece actually has the search at the time that I'm recording this part, so I can't look back and remember what it's called. Anyway, what's up with this forest is that once every season, this giant wolf spirit comes and drinks from one of the pools. And then from that pool emerges a spirit who will, if there's a mortal around, she will grant that mortal one wish. The thing is that there's 3 pools in this forest, and you never know which pool the wolf spirit is going to drink from. You never know when they're going to come. So if you're a mortal looking for this gift from the spirit, all you can do is go to one of the pools and camp out there and wait and hope that you're at the right one. This only happens once every season, so you got 4 shots a year. So your chances aren't wonderful. And the way they know that the spirit is coming and if they've missed the spirit this time or not is that faces start appearing all over the forest, because this spirit is the faceless spirit, and that's the indicator that it's all about to happen. Here's hoping we're in the right spot. So Team Avatar go into this forest to see if they can find any information about Ursa. They end up finding a brother-sister crew, and they desperately need their wish granted. One thing that I love about this particular graphic novel is I love Sokka and Katara's relationship in this one. There's a big emphasis on family in this, and Sokka and Katara get a lot of great bonding, get a lot of great lines and scenes, and I loved seeing it. There's also so much conflict with Zuko because he's seeing how much Sokka and Katara are loyal to each other and love each other and will do anything for each other. And then they meet this other brother-sister group in the forest that are doing anything for each other. And he wants that bond with his sister so badly, but she's not exactly receptive. In the meantime, while all this is happening, we are also getting flashbacks, backstory, all interwoven with Ursa's story, and I love her story. Ursa was living happily with her family. She had a romance with this man that she was deeply and desperately in love with, and then because of who she's the descendant of and who Ozai is the descendant of, which we learned all that in the original series, because of that connection, the marriage is arranged between the two. Ursa's not exactly happy about it, but she goes along with it to save her fiance. No, not fiance, the man she loves, the man she actually loves. And absolutely immediately, Ozai proves himself to be a terrible husband. This is not going to be a happy marriage. And we eventually find out that the reason that Ursa disappeared in the first place was because Ozai's father commanded Ozai to kill his firstborn son, which we already knew about in the original series. Ursa stepped in, and because of her background in the village that she used to live in, she can create a clear, tasteless poison that will kill someone without any trace. She offers this to Ozai in exchange for Zuko's life. Ozai takes it, kills his father, steals his brother's birthright, becomes Fire Lord. But he also tells Ursa, leave. You don't get to stay here because I don't trust you to not put that poison in one of my drinks someday. She agrees, but she wants to take the children. He won't let her take the children. He says this is collateral, and I'm gonna punish you by punishing your son for the rest of his life. Which is a whole big part of the backstory. She wrote a letter to her previous love saying that Zuko was his son, even though they both knew that Zuko wasn't his son. She just wrote that letter because she was pretty sure Ozai was intercepting all the letters that she was trying to send home, and that made her mad because she wanted to speak to her family. So she wrote that in the letter just to hurt Ozai because she hated him. And then Ozai said, you get what you ask for. I'm gonna treat Zuko as if he's not my son, as if he is exactly what you called him, and I'm gonna make his life terrible because of you. He's a horrible person. Now let's cut back to Team Avatar. So this whole time, throughout this entire journey, while Azula is having her mini hiccups with the crew, the reason she's getting these hiccups is because Azula's mental state is continuing to be so unstable. She's seeing visions of her mother, and her mother is speaking to her, much like what happened in season 3 of Avatar. And she's convinced that her mother is sabotaging her life and leading others to ruin her life. Oh, also the letter that Azula has that's going to destroy Zuko's life, that's the letter that Ursa wrote saying that Zuko isn't actually Ozai's son, even though he is. Azula can use this letter to prove or to discredit Zuko, make him no longer the Fire Lord, so that she now has the heritage of being the Fire Lord. Again, I loved that Azula's mental state isn't just brushed aside, isn't just all better now or something like that. She's still struggling in the same way that she was during the original series. She's still backsliding. She's still having such a rough go. And even though Zuko is reaching out to her and trying to have a healthy relationship with her, or some sort of semblance of a healthy relationship with her, she cannot accept it because she's so lost in these visions of her mom and this idea that her mom is sabotaging her life. So she's trying to find her mom to kill her, if that wasn't clear. Anyway, we're in the forest and they're at the right pool. No, they're not at the right pool. They're at the wrong pool. They missed the spirit, but Aang is like, nope, I'm the great bridge between the spirits and the humans. I'ma go find the spirit. So he finds her and he pleads with her to come back to where the siblings are. She agrees to do so. Now, I just want to take a second to say that this spirit is my favorite spirit that I've encountered in all of Avatar and probably in all of fiction. I love the Spaceless spirit so much, and I can't even fully describe to you why, other than that I think she looks cool. I think that basically everything that makes her into what she is, she creates faces for people, for animals, for the entire world. That's her role in this universe. I think that's so interesting. Her son is the face stealer from the original series. Yep, that's true. And she believes that humans are selfish, horrible creatures that will take her creation, that she spends a lot of time, the faces that she makes for them. She spends all this time creating this unique face just for them, and then they reject it and they hate it. And so she has this affinity for humans. She thinks that they are ungrateful people who then come to her and request a new face from— sorry, my memory card filled up. They come to her and they request a new face from her, and she'll do it. She'll grant one wish per season if someone's there, which usually someone isn't. And she's willing to do it, but she thinks it's such a selfish request and such a rude request to ask of the maker of faces who made you that face. But she does it anyway, and she shows later on, a couple pages later, how actually really understanding and kind she is. I love her layers. I love the spirit. Back to Ursa flashbacks. We find out that after Ursa runs away from the Fire King, she goes back to her, the Fire Lord. She comes back to her original town, meets up with her honey from before, finds out that he has a new face. Why does he have a new face? Because after Ursa left, everybody kept looking down, or pitying him for losing the love of his life. He couldn't move on, so he went to the Forest to Forget, found the spirit, and requested a new face so that he could just start over and try again. She gives him this new face. He goes back into this place and back into his town and creates a life for himself, basically running the play that he and Ursa used to act in. After Ursa tells him her story and everything that happened, he takes her into the forest. They find the spirit. She requests a new face. The spirit offers the new face, but she also sees that Ursa is really struggling with losing her children and with being terrified that Ozai is going to treat them horribly, and just in general having a tough go. So the spirit offers her one more thing. She says, I can make you forget as well. Ursa asks if she's going to forget this guy that's with her. The spirit says, not if you don't want to. And she says, will I forget my children? And she says, only if you want to. So Ursa forgets her children. She forgets her life as Ozai's wife, and she remembers her true love, and she gets a new face, a new name, and she goes back into her city to start a new life. This is a tough decision. Choosing to forget your children who you think might be in danger is a rough one, and I like to think it's a decision that I myself would never make. But I also understand that she is going after self-preservation. She knows that she doesn't really have much choice in her kid's lives at this point, and she took the easy way out. And while I would hope that as a mother, I would fight tooth and nail to do anything I could to rescue my children from the home of this man, I appreciate the brutal honesty of Ursa's story. Anyway, back to Team Avatar. The spirit is going to grant this brother-sister duo that have been living in this forest for years, they're going to grant them the new face request that they need because the face stealer stole the brother's face. But at the last second, Azula rushes in and instead asks, "Where's my mother?" And the spirit takes that as the one request. She tells us Ursa's story, shows us Ursa's true face. Azula's off. She's ready to go kill her mom. Zuko's off as well. He wants to protect her. Zuko gets there first because there's a shortcut, and he ends up talking with this family. Oh, Sokka goes with him because Sokka's amazing, and he looks out for Azula to try to keep her from harming anyone. Zuko gets to talk with his mom, and the man who she's married to, which again, I don't have this book, so I can't actually look up and remember some of the things that I've forgotten. He still remembers everything. So when Zuko says, "I'm your son," he explains to her that she chose to forget them because there wasn't anything that she could do. And they started a new life together, but she is his mother. One thing that I really love about this is how Zuko immediately, at finding out that she's his mother, and he does believe the letter, he doesn't realize that the letter is a lie, so he believes that this man is his father too, immediately just says, "Then I should live here. I should be here." He already had really cute moments of connecting with their daughter, and he's desperate to connect with his family. He's desperate to have a place amongst his family. And when he believes that this is his true family, he abandons everything. He's ready to not be Fire Lord. He's ready to give up everything that he knows about himself to be a part of this family because he so desperately wants a place of belonging. And that just I love that these writers never shy away from just real emotions and struggles. Zuko finds out that the letter was a lie, that he actually is Ozai's son. Azula comes in and tries to kill everybody because of who she is. There's a cool face-off. Azula gets away. And then Ursa and Zuko have a good talk where she basically says, "If I chose to forget you, I failed you as a mother. And I'm so sorry I made such a selfish choice." She said, "I'm sorry I failed at loving you. I should never have forgotten you, and I should have done everything I could to keep you safe." It was a moment of weakness where she made a decision that when she later realizes what the decision was, she knows for a fact that she wishes she had never made it. I love this story for the amount of relationship that we get to see be built up between Team Avatar. The loyalty that we see from Zuko to them, the loyalty that we see of them to Zuko. I love the raw emotions explored. I love the faceless spirit, like I can't even express to you. And I enjoyed reading Ursa's backstory so much. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed discussing it with me and getting a very extensive summary of each of these. I'm definitely gonna keep making these videos. Let me know how you liked it. Did you like the extensive summary? Would you like a more condensed summary for the next ones? Did you enjoy seeing all the different panels so that you could kind of see what I was talking about as well as hearing the story being told? I post videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.